Chaos.
Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sara Jones. For this episode, I got to hang out with Portland comic Andy Douglas. Andy Douglas is best known for his character, Jay Shingle. Jay Shingle is a comedy performer, musician, and video maker from Portland, Oregon. In his live act, he combines stand-up comedy, prop comedy, music, and character work into a mind-bending display of visceral goodness. He has opened for Creed Bratton, has performed on the David Liebe Heart Northwest Tour, as well as in the Comedy Tent at High and Low Festival. He also wrote and starred in the Hard Times video, Hard Times Fortune Teller on Facebook. He is the creator of Ordinary People memes on Instagram. From living room shows to festival stages, Jay Shingle continues to bring a fresh, unique approach to live comedy performance. Andy Douglas, aka Jay Shingle, and I visited Candy Cane Park in La Grande, Oregon. Andy and I also stayed in a haunted hotel room that night with another comic from the Portland area. Naturally, we referenced this place a little bit during our episode. Stay tuned next week to hear all about it. If you'd like, be sure to check out our Instagram for pictures that go along with this episode. You can find us at Lit Dark Podcast. That's at LITDARK Podcast. For now, join Jay Shingle and myself at Candy Cane Park. Here's the episode. Anywhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Ready? 3,
Yeah.
2, 1.
Okay.
Now we're ready to rock.
All right, start rolling now.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are at Candy Cane Park in La Grande, Oregon. For listeners, what time is it? It's 11:15, so it's really dark and kind of just your standard park at night, residential area.
Mm-hmm.
Stars are out and they're really pretty. What would you have to say so far about your impression of this Candy Cane Park?
Yeah, I mean, I like that the swing poles are candy canes.
Yeah, the poles on the swing structure are candy cane painted. We're swinging right now, if you can hear the...
I'm more like shifting. Doing this like side shifting.
Yeah, Andy's shifting moderately comfortably.
Nervously shifting. No,
I'm swinging a little bit.
you got a good swing going on.
Yeah, I mean, not full swing, but no.
You'd hear it on the mic if it was full swing.
I'm like wrapping around the pole. Just like, my swing is up at the top, and I'm like, we lost another one.
And I'm just silent. That happened in my mic.
So, Candy Cane Park, also sometimes called Hatchet Park,
Oh shit.
which is a decidedly different themed
Yeah.
name. Those
Yeah.
are two very different feels.
Yeah, I feel like there is a loose kind of Christmas connection. You might get a hatchet,
For Christmas?
depending on where you live and what your everyday life
In
is
your
like.
stocking?
Yeah, hatchet in your stocking. Maybe in La Grande, Oregon
Classic.
even. That seems pretty La Grande to me. But
Yeah, it'd be a La Grande old holiday.
but other than that, yeah, very different images for sure.
Definitely. So this park is situated on the corner of 12th Street and J Avenue in La Grande, Oregon. The park has been known to be haunted by the ghost of a woman who was reportedly murdered here with a hatchet.
I thought you were going to say with a candy cane. Sharpened.
She was stabbed to death with a candy cane. They said hatchet to make it a little less
Yeah.
graphic.
Yeah. It was turned out to be a softer call after public polling. Turned out death by hatchet was a little more wholesome than a jagged edge candy cane.
Her body was found in the grass at this park.
Ooh.
Terrifyingly, the woman was still alive when she was found. She died the following morning in the hospital. It appeared that someone had attempted to chop her head off with a hatchet before leaving her there to die. Her body was found with 7 deep gashes to the head.
Oh, to the head.
Mm-hmm. The woman who was attacked was a young tavern waitress was a young tavern waitress named Dana DuMars. She was only 21 years old. In 1983, a 20-year-old LeGrand man named Bart Cochran was initially convicted of the crime, but based in part on interrogation tactics employed by detectives in the case, his conviction was appealed and later overturned. The story goes that in February of 1983, Bart Cochran was drinking in the same tavern where Dana DuMars was a waitress. During his stay there, Bart argued with another female in the bar. The argument escalated. Why can't I fucking talk tonight?
It's fear of hatchet.
Fear of candy canes.
Yeah, fear
I
of
don't
candy
feel very
canes.
comfortable about candy canes.
No, I mean, it's...
Or any Christmas imagery, really.
It's,
unsettles me.
Yeah, I mean, there is a sort of confusing, delirious feeling in the air in this park.
It's definitely coming out in my speech.
Yeah.
So the argument in the bar escalated, and Bart threatened to cut the female's head off.
Whoa, okay.
This car is like kind of coming up on us.
I know, I noticed it too. I was like, I saw that car sitting there listening to the story, and I'm like, I don't know how haunted this is or how just like vulnerable we are to just like regular hatchet attacks. Like, you sort of
they don't call it Hatchet Park for nothing.
Yeah. They are kind of hanging out watching.
Yeah, they are. What the fuck is that about?
That's spooky.
It is spooky. So there's a car, you guys, parked right across from the park, like literally staring at us right now.
They were a little bit further behind. Now they're just straight at the intersection.
Yeah, and she keeps looking at us. Is that a girl in there?
I can't tell.
She keeps looking at us? Okay, so...
I mean, we do just look like troublemaking teens.
Yeah.
In the park after hours.
Okay, so the argument escalated and Bart threatened to cut the female's head off. This prompted him, naturally, to be escorted out of the bar. He and his friends left to drink elsewhere.
Okay.
That makes sense. That's reasonable.
That's reasonable.
At some point, Bart and his friends left the bar and went home. But their truck broke down close to Candy Cane Park, where they continued on foot. Here, they reportedly passed Dana DuMars, who was also walking through the park, likely heading home for the evening.
Okay.
Later that night, Cochran returned to a tavern in which he had been drinking earlier with scraped knuckles and hands that seemed to have recently been feverishly scrubbed. DuMars' body was found near the center of the park the next day. Suspiciously, Cochran had mentioned to a coworker that the victim had been a waitress at a bar he had previously been drinking at, despite the fact that at that time, police had not revealed the identity of the victim.
Oh, so this dude just did that.
Probably. Cochran was brought in for questioning using, quote, very unconventional, unquote, interrogation methods. I read that Cochran was persuaded to reveal the location of the murder weapon and that a hatchet was found exactly where Cochran had described it would be, with blood and hair on the weapon linking it to the case. This was before DNA evidence, so it could not have been definitively linked. However, the Baker City Herald reports that the handle of a hatchet was found sticking up out of the grass 3 months after DuMars' murder by a boy mowing the lawn. There were no fingerprints or bloodstains found on the handle, yet the state crime lab still determined that it was the murder weapon.
Wait, so, like, what kind of investigatory work is that? That the hatchet was just in the ground?
Yeah.
And they didn't find it? Like, what kind of crime?
But maybe it was, like, hidden by grass, because, like, some boy was mowing the lawn and then he found it.
I guess.
So I guess it was just...
Still, that's not very thorough. Like,
what?
You'd hope to think that, like, law enforcement's, like, investigatory teams are, like, going enough of the mile to like move grass around.
Right, yeah. I mean, hey, we can't overassume.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's believed that possibly Cochran mistook Dana as the woman in the bar he had threatened earlier, and in a fit of intoxicated rage, he attacked her. Because of the, quote, irregular interrogation methods, unfortunately, 2 years after Cochran was sentenced to 10 years to life, his conviction was overturned. His attorney insists that the evidence against Cochran was circumstantial at best and didn't hold any true weight in the case. Dana is buried in Eagle Valley Cemetery in Baker County, Oregon. No other suspect has been charged with the crime, leaving the murder of Dana DuMars a cold case. What's weird is I wasn't able to find out what unsavory methods the interrogators used.
Yeah.
So I assumed it's kind of like, did you see Making a Murderer?
Mm-mm.
Really? Well, I mean, like, I assume basically, like, when interrogators use, like, sloppy methods, they can accidentally, like, leak things about the case, you know what I mean? To try to get the answer they want from someone. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened, and that's how they got the conviction overturned.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some small town.
Yeah,
where, like,
tomfoolery.
where like high pressure turns to like unconstitutional violence or breaches of rights or something.
But then again, if he's describing exactly where a hatchet is and then that's where it's found.
I know, as you're divulging these details, I'm like, this seems pretty no-brainer.
Right. I know.
Especially the threat of cutting her head off earlier.
Yeah. Right. That's way too coincidental. I don't think people cut other people's heads off like that frequently.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be hearing about it a lot more often. But
wow. Yeah,
so,
something's going on.
Yeah, it seems pretty.
I mean, we looked at the population earlier.
Oh, right.
And it was only like, I think this town we're in had grown like 11,000 people in like 120 years.
So it would be in the 80s.
Yeah, so who knows? It's probably half of what it is now.
And it's still a pretty small town.
Yeah, it's so far removed too, which makes small even smaller.
Right.
This just turned into a crime podcast.
Well, it is. Some episodes are like this, that they're like a true crime episode, and that's what ours is.
It's crimey.
I like crimey.
Grimy.
Grimy. So it is believed that Dana's restless spirit still roams these park grounds. Which fucking makes sense, because if someone murdered you brutally by trying to cut your fucking head off, and then it was really obvious who did it and he got away with it, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. Not to mention that, like, added time of, like, not dying on the scene, but later.
Oh, God, yeah. Just lying
like
there, waiting
limbo.
for someone to find you.
That's where the spirits are born, in that limbo time. You, like, know you're gonna die, so you do some, like, some dealing, some spiritual dealing. So you make sure you can hang out at the park.
Why would you want to?
Let people know. She wants to let people know who her killer was.
Yeah. So there was once a merry-go-round in the park known to be a hotbed of paranormal activity.
Ooh.
Those on the merry-go-round were reportedly violently thrown off, and there were many accounts of people witnessing the merry-go-round spinning out of control. Wild. The merry-go-round has since been removed, and it's believed that the paranormal activity has instead been shifted to the park benches and swings.
Oh, shit. There it is.
Here it is. So, listeners, in case you forgot, we are swinging on those swings presently. I'm going to level with you. I forgot about that.
No, that's awesome.
But it worked out really.
Yeah, we naturally chose them, and like the candy cane markings and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, very good.
Very, very good.
Since you've said that, I'm now allowing myself, like, instead of the shifting thing, I'm gonna let my swing go a little bit more.
Let your swing
here.
flag fly.
Let my swing.
You gonna try swinging?
Give a little bit of the swing.
I could be a swinger.
Yeah. I'll do this.
Okay. One local tells a story where her father was driving here was driving her and her siblings home after dinner and pulled over next to the park when her siblings were acting up. She was annoyed and looked out her window, pouting, when she spotted a girl sitting on a bench. She explains that the figure turned around to look at her, but just as they were about to see one another eye to eye, the girl faded. If you believe that ghosts are imprints of restless spirits with unfinished business, it's not any wonder why DuMars might still be roaming these grounds. To be the victim of a brutal and senseless murder and still see your case go cold. That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Did you hear that?
yeah, I did.
Someone just,
Some yelling.
if listeners, I don't know if the microphones would have caught it, but someone literally just, like a male voice, just screamed across the parking lot.
Right as you were talking about unfinished business.
Right. And still see your case go cold could certainly invoke some feelings of unrest. Perhaps that is why DuMars still occasionally wanders here, sometimes feeling frustrated at the notion that people have fun, perhaps on a merry-go-round, in a place where she experienced such horror. Maybe her murderer was never caught, or, perhaps worse, maybe Cochran did kill her and got away with it. Could DuMars be here trying to tell us something?
Dana, right?
Yes.
Dana, I just want to say, if you're out there, he did it. I'm convinced. I'm sorry.
Are you really? Do you believe in ghosts now?
Oh, I don't know so much about that. I'm convinced that Cochran did it.
Oh, fuck, yeah, he did.
It's got to be him.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you hear that and that pleases you, I'd love like a really big push. Like a big swing push. Like, don't do it, to launch me off necessarily. But...
What if these two swings next to us that are just sitting stationary, what if one of them started moving?
It'd have to be Dana.
What if it's Cochran?
Oh. Yeah, what's his status? Is he alive?
I don't know.
We gotta know about Cochran.
I think I tried to look him up and I couldn't find, I only found stuff about the case.
Yeah. No, that's some shady shit.
What was that guy's first name?
He did it. Is it Billy?
I don't think it was Billy.
Bolly. It was Bolly. It was Gam Gam.
It was Frosty.
It was Frosty.
For listeners, we have to give you some background information.
Oh, yeah.
We are staying at a haunted bed and breakfast, and it will be the subject of another episode, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But actually, Andy, me, and another comedian are all staying in this haunted bed and breakfast tonight that is run by a sweet older woman who we have named Gam Gam.
Yeah, Gam Gam.
And she has, what is that dog, a Chihuahua?
She's got a little Chihuahua mix. It's just this
like
white
a fat little
nugget. Yeah.
Nugget, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Little hot dog, little teeny weeny with legs. Yeah.
A little white nugget. No, a nugget is more fitting for its shape.
Frosty's total nug. And it's just the
Frosty's just a little snowball.
Yeah.
He's a little enraged little snowball that just...
He has the most intense eyes. Probably because he's seen ghosts his whole fucking life. He's stared into the eyes of demons his whole life.
He's fueled by demons.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I did not know what that was, and that kind of freaked me out at first.
It stayed attached. I wonder what that will do for sound quality. Sorry, this wasn't quite professional. I mean, not that I'm that professional.
Shove it in your coat pocket.
My battery fell out, but the mic stayed.
Good.
Anyway, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this hotel. I know it's not quite the subject of this episode, but
yeah,
the combination of being there and here,
it's
very potent.
It is very, and I think it also lends to the creepiness of even this place.
I mean, this park is pretty just silent right now.
It is very dark and very cold and very silent.
And the playground structure is very compact and
yet imposing.
Yeah, it's really kind of lording over us, and the way the light reflects off the poles when you swing and the light kind of shifts up and down. each pole in unison.
Yes.
That's pretty freaky.
I mean, the fact, though, that, you know, however creepy other locations might be, like, yeah, this is just a park.
Right.
But I think for me, what kind of creeps me out is the combination of a place of innocence with horror.
Right.
And so this is like one of those places where, like, you know, there are going to be kids that grow up and they come by this park, and every time they do, hey, you guys, do you live around here? Oh, you don't? Never mind. I was going to see if we could get some local stories.
This park is haunted. Yeah. There was a lady murdered here in the 80s with a hatchet.
We're not kidding. Google it. Dana DuMars.
Dana DuMars.
Seriously.
We were hoping you'd shed some light on it. Instead, we just...
They're not going to look it up, I feel.
Yeah.
Should we harass them more?
I know. I feel out of context. They're just like...
Excuse me.
Yeah, just like swinging.
Do you guys want to come hang out at this place? What are you guys doing later?
We just look like we're on like psychedelic mushrooms on swings, just like spouting murder details at people.
Gam gam.
Hey, gam gam. Yeah, everyone's gam gam now. Hey, gam gam.
It's like replaced for instead of like, dude, it's just, hey, gam gam.
It's actually not cool what I said. Someone murdered you. Like, my head was in like context of the episode. Like, yeah, this will be good. But like, I feel bad. Those people are like, whoa.
Dude, what the fuck is going on?
Oh no.
Hey, you guys live around here? And they're like, no. Dude, secure that.
I know. I'm sorry. Happened again. I think this has zippers.
It's fine. I'm made of money, so don't.
No. In my defense, not my coat.
Yeah.
But no, I shouldn't.
Not my coat, not my problem.
It was this lean back I was doing. I was doing this like
Do you
fun.
mind on your money?
Yeah. Lean back.
Yeah, just like, so for listeners, what just happened was basically this couple was minding their own fucking business, walking down the sidewalk, and we just verbally harassed them.
Wasn't to that level.
We were just like, hey, you guys live around here?
Yeah, we wanted to know.
Where do you live?
If they knew anything about these ghosts. We asked for their address.
Someone was murdered here.
Yeah. And then we just...
With a hatchet.
Shit.
Google it. They're like, okay, whatever.
Spokespeople for this park, you know.
But yeah, no, what I was saying before is that, like, I think, like, coming here to, like, places of innocence, but also knowing, like, her body is probably found right there.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the grass. And to know, like, that's real. That's not a spooky story. That's a cold case crime.
Yeah.
That happened right here of someone else attempted to behead them and failed. It's almost more scary that they failed.
It's grim.
It is grim.
It's like get to you like go to that point, to that aggression and that horridness, and then the mental state of like going there and then failing and still just living with yourself and walking away and leaving someone to die.
No, you're already deranged if you're able to do something like that, especially when it's just over an argument in a tavern.
Yeah.
You've already left, you've already walked away, and you think you see them again. Also, why is he just holding a hatchet?
Yeah. Why is it that?
Like, that's just something you get for Christmas, and then you put it away.
You might hack some weeds up. You might, chop some wood for your grandfather or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like in the place we're staying too, like this whole removed small town element, really lends itself to some dark weird,
Yeah,
especially
I like that dark
fucking
weird.
80s. I mean,
yeah.
This place is just like a world of its own, I'm sure.
Yeah. You know what I think they should make more of? Well, I guess they get wet, that's the problem. I like those swings that are like felt. Don't these kind of hurt your ass?
They do a little bit, yeah. And I have a wallet in one pocket.
Ooh.
I constantly feel it.
But I love swinging.
I know.
But it would be nice if it was like a bigger seat and it was like felt.
Nice if it was like a bed with like
Why can't these just be a bunch of hammocks
like
in
a
a row?
steak, on the side.
You have a spot that you can put your slippers and your
Yeah.
If they could just
Gam comes in and
kisses you goodnight.
kisses you goodnight.
Brings you some cookies and milk. My God, what if she brings us cookies to bed?
I hope. And I hope she makes us watch a video about them before we eat them. How they were made.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I guess we should explain too. I don't know. I'm sorry, my head is focused on that fucking hotel.
I know, it's okay. It's definitely where we're staying for the evening.
She made us watch this, like, she said it was 15 minutes, more like half hour. Some of it
just felt like a half hour.
I don't know, actually, time stood still in that theater.
Yeah, it did. Oh my God, that little piano in there.
That was weird.
It was like a little chapel because we were sitting in pews.
Yeah, no.
It was also a theater. And the weird thing is that she wasn't saying to us, okay, now we're going to do like an initiation process where you guys can watch this film.
Yeah.
This is a part of the check-in. It was not, it was like she hurried us up to our room and then said, actually, you guys should be in this room, and changed it. And then said, I can't find toilet paper. Let me look for toilet paper.
That was weird.
Searched for toilet paper, and then said, all right, guys, here's the theater, and sat us down. Like, we had no idea what was going on.
No, it was a total shuffle, and the one thing I kept thinking about too was like this theater seemingly was only used to show that video. Like this is like a I don't know, what would you say that room was like 75 by 40 or just like it's like a
small little.
It's like a legitimate theater and screen.
Yeah, and and what she could do too is like you could turn that into like another entertainment element of like, hey, we also screen movies at night. Like, you know, if you come in between 9 and 10, here's like the movies of the night or whatever. Sometimes she could do something like that.
Hey, we screen our movie every night.
We screen our one movie. Wait, what if they had a bunch of homemade movies?
That I would actually stick around for. Like,
I totally would too.
That DVD looped though. Like,
I know,
we went right to the first scene. There was no grace period. Like, that was meant to try to keep us in a trance.
Yeah.
Like, they just want people in that theater. Like
until you turn to bronze.
Until you turn to bronze, yeah.
Let's bring ourselves back to this place and let's walk around. Like, let's at least go to where her body was found, in respect to Dana DuMars. Yeah. Dana, you deserve better than this. Sorry.
We didn't send a Facebook invite to Dana.
Yeah, we forgot to mention. Oh, hey, Dana, come on through. It would be really crazy if, like, we actually did have a full-on, like, figure apparition.
Yeah.
Here.
I kept out of the corner of my eye when we were on the swings. I kept catching the shrub that's over there on the opposite corner.
What's really weird, too, is that they said her body was found in the middle of the grass, so it would be, like, right here. So it was like she was basically walking. There must have been a tavern close by, and she must have lived around these areas. And she was walking through the park, and he came up to her and just started hacking the shit out of her.
Cold night like this.
Yeah. In '83.
Yeah. That almost like, and because I would imagine a lot of these residences were here at that point. I was like. That's
it was only the '80s.
Yeah, that's like the spookiest part. It's like
some of the people who live here might have lived here at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Knock door to door.
We already yelled at passersby.
Do you live here?
Yeah. Hey, we're doing a story.
They're like, do you have any idea what time it is? Yeah, it's spooky. It's spook 30.
Hey, we're doing a story on a murder that happened when you were 16. What do you remember about it?
Tell us everything you know about that. Yeah. Actually, they probably would know if they were 16. This is a 20-year-old girl.
Topic,
yeah. But again, to like bring it back to, not to be unfunny, but to bring it back to like standing in this place.
Yeah.
This is where that happened. And this one is not one that's like, oh, urban legend says or rumor has it.
Right.
This is like a documented case of a legit brutal murder that happened right where we're standing. And whether or not you believe in ghosts, the fact that something like that happened right here, that alone is haunting.
Yeah, there's still like something tied to the physical ground itself that you can kind of pick up on. And like just by means of hatchet.
Oof.
Knife is one thing. Obviously.
Yeah, hatchet's kind of an old school way of going about it.
It's really brutal. I mean,
he must have taken a hatchet out of his car or something. Like, you're not just walking around with a hatchet on you.
No. If you're threatening to cut people's heads off casually, you might have a hatchet.
Or maybe because they said his car broke down, like, right here. And then he was frustrated, and he got out and took it out on Dana. It is interesting that there's no longer the merry-go-round.
Yeah. I was thinking that, too, when you were going over that part. Like, it became that much of a problem that it was removed.
Take this thing out. That would be crazy to see something just moving that fast on its own.
Yeah, I want to see some swings.
I know.
Dana!
Dana!
Show yourself!
DuMars! Oh my God, I just saw our swinging and I was like, oh, wait! Like an idiot.
There isn't much for creep tonight, though, so. They do start moving.
We'll know.
Oh.
Thanks.
Good luck, producers. Better sync that up. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like in the daytime, you wouldn't think much of it. It does seem a little kind of circusy at night.
Yeah.
Would they still be moving that much? I guess so.
Yeah. I think it's a matter of like wanting something to happen so bad.
Yeah.
Well, what we could do is we can head back and pontificate about Dana on the way back to the haunted hotel we're staying at. Yeah, and stay mic'd. Cool. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Alright, let's do it.
Sorry about the pack falling out, by the way.
Oh, that's cool, dude. It's fine. As long as it doesn't break, then that's all I ask for. And I think they're pretty durable.
Yeah. If you find it to be funky or something in the future after this, I'm obviously down to replace whatever.
Oh, thank you. I don't think it'll be an issue. Oh, I'm going to grab my purse out of the back, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, don't forget the purses.
Oh, hey, thank you so much. I almost forgot.
Yeah, yeah.
So, another thing I couldn't actually find, or maybe just didn't find, is why did they change the name to Candy Cane Park?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering that too.
Or maybe it already was called Candy Cane Park, and then it got dubbed Hatchet Park after DuMars was murdered.
Yeah.
Because actually that makes more sense, doesn't it?
It's like the slang, yeah. It was always Candy Cane Park, but it's still an interesting question. Why Candy Cane Park?
Right.
But
it's very Candyland. That itself is kind of creepy to me too, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, when you told me the name of it, I was picturing some like circusy shit, some old-timey haunted clowns.
Right.
I am like curious to know like if it's like a local high school or like middle school kids that are like have like sleepovers and stuff. That's like a thing. Like, let's go to Hatchet Park.
I'm sure it is, especially because it's such a recent murder.
Yeah. It's like kids' parents and grandparents like can remember that tragedy sort of thing.
Kids' parents would remember it.
Yeah.
It was in 1983. Like, I think that the only... I wish, because I'm like following it, but I don't want her to talk over the audio.
Right.
The only thing that I kind of worry about doing episodes with true crimes that are more recent is offending other people, because there's usually like obviously family members that are still alive and that, you know, might remember this and are still deeply affected by it.
Sure, yeah.
So I think it's also like really relevant and important to mention that we mean all of this out of complete respect for the dead. There's nothing meant to be disrespectful about us visiting these places and seeing them. It's just the curiosity of hearing these stories and hearing like whether or not you really experience something, just knowing something horrible happened in a certain place, I think that does affect the energy there. And it's not even something that, like, I don't necessarily go to places like that where I'm like, I know this horrible thing happened here. The feeling I get, it's not like I get this like supernatural, like tingling feeling or anything like that, but I just have this like reverence for the fact that something really horrific happened here.
Right.
And I think that is evil. That's like truly evil. Someone that can hack away at someone else like that is just shockingly evil to me.
And to do it in the most like generally like celebrated safe place, like a park is
right, definitely
kind of like the location of like joy for humans and
right, and
preservation.
innocence, and childlike wonder.
With that playground especially,
right, situated right in the middle of like a residential area, like kids just all go down to the park together, like all the neighborhood kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot there that like, you know, really stands out to me, which I think is what drew me to that episode. And it kind of reminds me of an episode I did in Seattle at Gaines Park, where there was a murder in that park as well.
Yeah.
And I think that parks tend to be places where murders happen or where people leave body parts, because just like we were there tonight, nobody else was around.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
They're kind of after dark, they become conventional purpose, like obsolete. You know?
Right. Which is ironic because it's like you're hidden in plain sight. It's like right in the middle of...
Yeah, that's the thing that struck me, is just sort of like assuming most of that neighborhood design was there already, which we're pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
It was they're almost just like box seats around an arena, like just a square field.
Right.
And there were streetlights and stuff. I mean, like, we could definitely see well enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, I would imagine there would have had to have been screams, and that's what makes it all the more interesting, is that, and the fact that like there was this weird kind of not very heavily divulged legal technicality. It's like brings up these weird feelings of like how involved were like community members and what they knew and what they did. I don't know. It all seems,
right.
I mean, like the appeals process at that time, I think, that kind of like investigatory technicality stuff was really big before like pre-DNA, and it was like a really convenient way to just hush things.
Right.
That's what felt most unsettling to me about it, was like as you're going through the story and we're sitting there and like seeing how close all these community members were and like people around, and it just seemed to be like very swept under the rug by various forces, and like the almost the most kind of haunting thing was like the blood on the town's hands when we're just standing in this park, and like how could that sort of thing go unresolved, seeing how visible we are right now.
Right. And then, I mean, like, and even just to add to that, like, the idea that she was laying there, like, when she was found, she was still alive, which means she had been hacked away at least 7 times to the head, and was laying there helpless, but in the middle of this wide open park that's literally surrounded by homes. Like, I don't know if we really explained that to listeners, but like,
Yeah.
what I didn't even realize until we got there was that this park is literally right, like, in smack dab in the middle of other homes that surround it.
Yeah.
So this girl was probably laying here bleeding to death, just feeling so exposed and yet so alone and hidden at the same time and helpless. Like, that to me is what's really scary. And then on top of all of that, in a sense, there's almost a metaphorical comparison as well to her case, where it's like, it's right in the middle of the open. Everyone can see it was obviously this guy who did it.
Yeah.
And yet there she lies helpless. The victim has no justice whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, and I had never heard of this, purposely, so we did that before we started. And as you're laying out these details earlier and like reading the story, I'm like, duh, like it's obvious. It's just,
Right.
Just vindictive dude.
Right.
Terrible man. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like there's just like a big psychological current that whole time.
It is, and I feel like it's one of those cases that, like, you kind of remember that there's kind of this drive for us to want to think that we're safe and to think that, like we get justice and what's right is right and people know it and people see right through it and they, like, but it's a good example or a bad example of how that, like, the truth and what's obvious is not really, doesn't really have any standing. Like, but then again, also, maybe the sources I was reading from were biased towards thinking this guy did it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was from multiple different sources that said, okay, well, basically it was a technicality that got him off. And then I wasn't able to see what the interrogation techniques that were used.
Right.
I wasn't able to see what they were.
Yeah, that seems weird as well. I mean, I think like procedural, constitutionality is important, but
yeah, definitely.
when it's not like regularly published what it was, and it just seems really strange. Like,
I wonder if they still have that hatchet, because, like, you know how now, like, with how DNA evidencing is that a word, evidencing? DNA testing, whatever.
It felt intuitive to me.
Yeah, DNA.
I understood it.
Yeah, okay. So, like, you watch, like, Forensic Files, and they're like, well, like, later on, once DNA testing came out, they went back to the clothing sample, or they went back to this and that. Do you think they still have that hatchet somewhere that they can now actually, like, positively identify him and at least put her soul to rest?
Yeah, I've heard of that obviously happening. I don't know. I know there are, like, cycles of, like, evidence keeping, like, certain, like, I think there's certain, like, logs of years that you hang on to something.
Because I've heard of cases from, like, way before 83 being solved with DNA evidence.
Yeah,
like, the Zodiac Killer just got...
Yeah.
Or people getting exonerated, exactly. But, like, so you would think that this is something that they can just reopen.
It would take a spirited journalist such as yourself to
don't put that responsibility on me.
No, I just, as you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it probably is possible, but it would take someone to care to a certain level.
Well, and then,
maybe ex-family members or community members who remember it don't.
That's what I was just thinking. So then now I'm also thinking, like, all right, if there's a 20-year-old, so this 20-year-old girl gets murdered, so probably her parents are most likely still alive, or, like, her caretakers are still alive, right? Probably. We don't know that. We don't know her background. Maybe she has no living family members. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd like to know more about her.
Me too. Like, and then also, like, you would think if anyone close to you is murdered, like, brutally like this, and their murderer potentially gets away with it, wouldn't you just be furious?
Yeah.
So don't you think once you start hearing about DNA, oh fuck. Sorry, I missed my exit for listeners. Once you start hearing about DNA, don't you think you would start wanting to be like, hey, look into this case?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be just like, and like being here too, I can't imagine, not to throw small town hate or anything like that.
No.
To LaGrande, Oregon. I have no beef. This has been a fine place, but I mean, I don't know if, who knows what the record keeping like is. It is, what it's like in a small town like this, especially in those times.
True.
I mean, and I was kind of joking, but like, it really did surprise me that a kid mowing the lawn found the hatchet.
Oh my God. So what about this? What if someone in law enforcement somehow didn't want this guy to be caught? You want to smoke?
No, that's what I'm saying.
What
That's
if-
what seems fishy about it. Is
Yeah,
like
what
the
if-
technicalities was just like an agreed upon. Like, we're gonna rough you up a little bit more than we should. We know we're gonna do that, and then you tell your attorney we did it, and
Yeah.
You'll get off because
Right.
we did the wrong thing. And just don't take a hatchet to anyone anymore. White men in Oregon in the 80s were like, okay, we'll do it.
No, okay, like, that's a good point. Like, if they messed something up. But, like, what if, for some reason, they didn't want Cochran to be in trouble? Like, what if his family had money and they, like, bought him off or something like that? Like, and so what it seems like to me is, like, what if they took the evidence and just, like, tossed it in a field? And the cops were like, we never found it, I don't know. Because what was also weird was, like, it said, in one source, it said, Carl wants to know if we're dead.
Yelled then.
So one
Just
source...
say Andy is, but
Okay.
I got away.
Okay,
Andy got...
listeners, we're going to play a prank on Carl.
Say Andy, yeah, this weird energy pushed Andy over this swing bar.
Carl, I think I'm going going to drive back, but I can't find Andy, and his phone is dead. Is that not funny?
I personally think it is. I'm actually a little bit worried he's gonna be like, oh, thank God, he's we got rid of him. Like,
No,
I'm not worried about how mean it is. I'm worried about like what sort of opinion of me is gonna come back when he might.
You think so? I don't think so.
No, I don't. That's just like general insecurity. I don't think that about Carl specifically. Wait, what are you putting?
I said, Carl, I think I'm gonna drive back, but I can't find Andy.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Okay. Now he's like gonna be truly alarmed.
All right, let's smoke a cigarette. So what I was thinking was, what if law enforcement, for some reason or another, like if they got bought out or what it was, they didn't want, like they needed to let Cochran get away with it. That's what it seems like to me. Either way, right, it doesn't sound like she had justice. And it also doesn't sound like anyone is interested in reopening it. Like, if anyone should be interested in wanting to reopen this, it shouldn't be some random girl from Portland doing a ghost podcast. It should be a family member. It was in the 80s. It's not like it was, like, in the 1700s.
Or it's just one of those things where everyone knows the truth, but...
And they know better than to speak up about it?
Well, like, no double jeopardy, right? So, like, this is one of those things where, like, you, in the legal realm, you win legally, but you just know in reality it's,
Wait, that can't be true, though. Is that real, double jeopardy?
Yeah, you can't be charged.
I've seen the movie, it's great.
You can't be tried for the same crime twice. So if you win an appeal and you're acquitted, you can't ever be tried for that crime.
Really? Even if they find DNA evidence linking you to the crime? Really?
Double jeopardy. There are different...
So maybe that's why it hasn't been reopened, because maybe there's no point.
I mean, like, yeah, I guess one could, like, really be, like, ardent about just pushing an investigation for the truth and, like, validation of, like, what they always knew. Just said, okay. But yeah.
Do you want to look at if we can find what Dana DuMars looked like?
Yeah.
So here's her grave. I've seen that. This has to be right, Baker City? No, that can't be. The Fallen Rome. There's a bunch of articles. Yeah. Maybe there's another writer named Dana DuMars. But because when I look up, and then it's Kid Rock.
Kid Rock. Kid Rock's loosely involved for some reason.
Kid Rock originally went by Cochran.
Yeah.
Kid Cochran became Kid Rock.
His first name was Hatchet. But they told him.
Oh shit! That's where we were sitting.
Yeah. Okay. Candy cane park.
No, this is on a haunted by woman Dana DuMars. But let's find a picture of.
Yeah, that's the other strange thing.
Yeah, it's like there, and then like so look, these are all from the Baker City Herald. So, Cochran Never City murdered DuMars. In fact, another cold case comes to light. So this was in. Oh wait, that's a victim. In another victim in LeGrand.
Yeah, that's the strangest part. Like, it definitely happened.
Yeah.
It's hardly covered anywhere.
But that's the thing, like, yeah, you can't even find a picture of her.
And it wasn't that far in the past.
No, that's what's creepy.
Yeah. It's just like...
Oh, here it is. This is Candy Cane Park. Okay. LeGrand Police Sergeant Gene Button helped other officers gather clues from Candy Cane Park in this 1983 file photo.
Oh, wow. So there they are. Yeah, and you can just see houses in this photo. Just the same.
But they're maintaining that Bart Cochran was innocent for some reason.
Some shady stuff.
Because there was, quote, no evidence.
Yeah.
Someone says, I really liked Bart and think he got a raw deal. Once the police got a bee in their bonnet that Bart was the bad guy, they just stopped looking because it definitely wasn't Bart. Oh my god. Where did this cat come from? We were balls deep in a cold case right now. And that just scared the shit out of me, at least. Did it scare you too?
When that door opened, and I didn't see you.
And I saw the cat.
I saw the cat. I was like, okay, it's the cat.
It's Dana. Dana DuMars. Hi, Iris. I hope you guys enjoyed exploring Candy Cane Park with Andy and I. Remember, Andy performs as a comedic character named Jay Shingle. Check out his web series where Jay showcases and interacts with local Portland bands in a television studio. You can find it on YouTube by searching Jay Shingle plus bands. You can find Jay Shingle all over social media. Find him on Twitter with the handle @JayShingleFunny or on Instagram with the handle @JayShingle. You can even find him on Facebook by simply searching his name, Jay Shingle. That's JayShingle. Check out his Ordinary People memes on Instagram with the handle @OrdinaryPeopleMemes. Be sure to visit our Instagram @LitDarkPodcast or check out our website at litdarkpodcast.com to find updates, take a look at our merch, or just contact us and say hello. Special thanks for this episode goes to my producer, Randall Lawrence and Cranival Studios, Jonathan Cooper, my graphic designer, Sara Schneider, my manager, and of course, all of you for listening.
Sources used for episode 6 of Laughing in the Dark include hauntedplaces.org, thecityoflegrand.org, theshadowlands.net, the Baker City Herald, the Eugene Register Guard, Strange Destinations blog, ghostsofamerica.com, and findagrave.com.
Laughing in the Dark is brought to you in part by Heck Yeah Studio. Heck Yeah Studio is a creative effort working with people to create meaningful things. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with clients to turn their ideas or existing brands into real or better versions. Heck Yeah Studio is the place to go for custom illustration for a full range of branding services, like killer logos, great colors and typography, and fun illustrations for pins, signs, prints, shirts, vehicles, posters, or anything you can imagine. At Heck Yeah Studio, they work with love. Their dream client is someone who is passionate about what they do. At Laughing in the Dark, Heck Yeah Studio has designed our logo, all of our merch, and any posters or stickers that we have. I am so proud and lucky to work with such an awesome company, and I could not recommend them higher.